Hey guys, this is Andrew Odegaard, member of Team DDG, and you're listening to Dead Draw Gaming like no one ever was.
What's up, Dead Drawers, and welcome to episode number 75 of Dead Draw Gaming, a Pokemon TCG podcast like no one ever was. We have a super exciting episode for you guys today, so if you're hyped just like we are, make sure to hit that like button down below and share this podcast with all of your friends. But first, before we get too far into things today, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to my co-hosts who are with me every single week. Hello, Danny. Hello, Darrin. What's going on today, boys?
Hey guys, Darrin here. I am here, and I am Darrin. Danny, how are you?
Same.
You're also Darrin?
We're all
No,
Darrin.
just kidding. I'm good. I'm trying to fight off a cold. There's like a nagging cold that I uncovered maybe yesterday evening or so, and then didn't sleep really at all last night, so that wasn't... I'm not doing a great job of fighting it off, but that's okay. Whatever comes, and I'll just fight back as much as I can. Other than that, I'm good. How are you doing, Dan?
Yo, actually, same though. I'm also fighting off a cold, so that's been super not great.
Yeah, you guys stay away. I am cold free for now, and I really don't need one.
All right, well, fight fire with fire. Maybe if Danny and I fight against each other, they'll just go away.
Just sneeze into each other's faces really hard.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Yeah, that's how you actually fight a cold.
Anyways, you guys, you want to hear the agenda for episode number 75?
Yes, sir.
Also, 75 episodes. That's a lot. It's like 75% of the way to 100.
Just like that.
Just like that.
No, 75 is incredible. It's very impressive, I think. What are we talking about this week, Dan?
All right. So we're going to start you guys off the same way we do every single week with some Pokemon news. Then we're going to jump into a preview of the Charlotte Regionals coming up this weekend. And then we will do our top 5. And that will be item cards in the standard format. Then we will be bringing you guys a special DannyBox. Then we will do our question of the week, our buy sell trade of the week, our open discussion, and our wrap. So I will kick it on over to Danny and Darrin so those guys can talk about all of the non-TCG news that we have for you.
I'll hop in here and just say, as far as Pokemon Go is concerned, there is nothing noteworthy this week for news. So let's move right along.
And there wasn't a whole lot that came out of the Nintendo Direct either. Unfortunately, it was stuff that we pretty much talked about already. I believe Detective Pikachu is now available in the eShop for North America and Europe. So that was in there. Other than that, there's not a whole lot going on. The Pokemon Company International has reconfirmed the release of the new series of the anime Ultra Adventures. So that's pretty cool. That'll air on Disney XD in the US from March 24th on. And there's going to be 8 episodes airing in the following weeks. So that's not too bad of some news. Other than that, we've got some Pokemon Bank news. For those of you who use Pokemon Bank, new distributions have begun. These provide the Alolan starters, Decidueye, Incineroar, and Primarina with their hidden abilities of Long Reach, Intimidate, and Liquid Voice to all players. These all have your OTID and have no special moves and can be picked up from the Pokemon Center after receiving them on the bank. It's currently unknown when this distribution will end. I think that Sarah B went on and updated this later, that it's going to end sometime in October. End of October, I believe. So you do have some time to take care of that. And finally, for the Pokemon Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon fans, there's a Shaman distribution that will be coming up. This is going to be in Japan, and the distribution will run at all Pokemon centers and Pokemon stores across Japan from April 25th to June 30th, and it's to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the opening of the Pokemon centers. So get your plane tickets now before they go up in price. That was a joke. Good. Okay.
I giggled.
Got it. Awesome. So that's pretty much it for non-TCG news. There's a little bit of non-ish TCG news, I guess, later on, but we can kind of tackle that as we come. So, Dan, you want to start us off with some regular old TCG related stuff?
How about some regular new TCG related stuff? Because the new TCG stuff we've got is the Forbidden Light pre-release promos. So these are pretty cool. Probably the best pre-release promo we've had in a long time. We are getting 4 of them as normal. So we're going to get Pheromosa, Xurkitree, Malamar, and Lycanroc. So 2 of these are very good. And Pheromosa and Xurkitree yet to be seen. Or not yet to be seen, but if they're going to be good or not.
Right.
No one knows necessarily, but people are expecting both Malamar and Lycanroc to be very good. So it'll be super interesting to see what comes of it, especially Malamar. I know lots of hype going on around it. I think we've had 2 different articles from Rukan now, one highlighting Malamar and then another one about just Forbidden Light in general, which is also a lot about Malamar.
He just had the one for Forbidden Light, which was all Malamar. He wrote 2 articles about Zoroark Weavile, which
that's what it was.
Ken is in love with.
Okay, but lots of Malamar love, and I have to agree. So it's super cool that there's going to be some playable pre-release promos, which we have not had since Vikavolt, right? Was that a pre-release promo?
No, that was a league promo.
No, you'd have to go back to Oranguru.
Yeah,
Yep.
that might be. Yeah, that might be it. But so pretty cool.
Oricorio.
Oricorio.
There we go. Okay.
Kind of, sort of.
I mean,
in any
the
case,
Oricorio play, that one in Costa Mesa, though.
Yeah. Anyway.
Other than that, a few different leaks for new cards coming in Forbidden Light. 2 of those being Druddigon and Dragon's Talon. So Druddigon is a basic Dragon-type Pokemon with 110 HP. It has an ability that reads Rough Skin. If this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. And then it has an attack for Fire, Water, Colorless. Dragon Claw does 100 damage. It is weak to Fairy, has no resistance, and a retreat cost of 1. Dragon's Talon is an item card. It is a Pokemon tool. If the Dragon Pokemon this Pokemon tool is attached to is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. You may play as many item cards as you like during your turn.
That sounds familiar. Didn't you just read the same thing twice?
Yeah, but you guys remember, was it? I don't remember if it was last week or the week before, where I said, I really just want Druddigon to be good. Pokemon heard me and they're like, no, Dan, you don't get this.
Why would you attach Dragon's Talon and not? I mean, I guess it continues to put damage on it, but it almost seems like a bursting balloon would be more effective because your Druddigon is only surviving 1 turn, anyways. It's only got 110 HP.
Yeah.
So I'd rather do 90 than 60.
Yes.
And there's no double dragon energy, so there's no point in using this attack. So there's no double dragon energy, so there's no point in using this attack at all.
This is pretty disappointing.
I feel like even if we had DDE, that this attack wouldn't be good. This card's just bad.
No, but if you attached, I don't know, if you could energy switch to it and attach a DDE, and then theoretically you're doing 100. And then if you attach a bursting balloon coming back into your turn, they could do 90. 190 would knock out most stuff. But the only way that this card would be semi-playable would be if its HP was 150. Because 110 is just way too weak.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of GXs, their first attack is for a easily powered up energy amount is going to hit for 120, 130. So at 110, you're getting knocked out like crazy.
Zoroark, Golisopod, Lucario. Druddigon's Dunzo for any of those. So this is just...
this card is not competitive, unfortunately.
Sad day.
Yeah. What else we got, Darrin?
Have we talked about Wayla Volcano yet?
We have
not.
All right. Well, Wayla Volcano is a stadium, and it says each player's burned Pokemon remains burned between turns, even if they flip heads. So, this makes your burn stick, and it makes burn slightly not as bad.
Yeah, but the Pokemon cards that can burn you are still bad.
That's true. That's very true.
Which is unfortunate.
So here's a quick ruling question for you, I guess. When it says even if the coin flip is heads, so in between turns, if this card is in play, is there a reason that you'd be flipping coins? Like what? Like why would you even bother with the burn flip?
No,
Is there something you still have to do, or
no? I mean, technically you can do it, but this is one of those things where I think in a game you can just skip it if this is in play.
Okay, because I can't think of any reason that that reminder text needs to be there.
Yeah, I mean, they could have worded it differently, like each player's, burn Pokemon, or you no longer flip, or burn lasts forever, or, they could have worded it differently, but we'll see. We'll see how it sounds when it comes out in English.
True.
Maybe we can go over, now that we have some final translations of Dragonite GX and White Kyurem GX. I can't remember exactly what we assumed it was going to be last week, but we'll go through these maybe really quick just to kind of give our thoughts on them again. Dragonite GX, 250 HP. Obviously, a dragon Pokemon evolves from Dragonair. For 1 lightning energy, it does Dragon Claw, which is 70 damage. And then for a water energy, a lightning energy, and 2 colorless energies, it does Giga Impact, which does 200 damage. And this Pokemon can't attack during your next turn. And then for 3 colorless energies, it does Dragon Porter GX. Put 3 dragon Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. Weak to Fairy, retreat cost of 3. Does that sound like what it was last week when they had the initial thoughts?
So I don't think we had any idea of what the GX attack did last time we talked about this, but this GX attack is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can put 3 Dredgegons on your bench.
You could put 3 Dragonite GX on your bench too, because it just says Dragon Pokemon, not basic.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. That makes this card
the Wailord Mill in Standard.
Yes.
Just play Acerola. You've got a 250 HP bulky Pokemon. Put some Hoopas down. Bada bing, bada boom.
How about this? Dragonite GX uses Dragon Porter to put 3 Altaria onto the bench, because we all know that the new Altaria has an ability called Fight Song, where it says your Dragon Pokemon's attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And then you could start swinging your Giga Impact for 260 without having to worry about Swablues.
And then you could one-hit KO your opponent's Dragonite GX, and it wouldn't be a mill issue anymore.
Oh, the plays.
Yeah, lots of good stuff there.
This requires double Dragon Energy. All these dragons require double Dragon Energy.
Yeah, they're
not Altaria.
Well, sure, you're right. That one only requires DCE, but its attack, Pierce, does a vanilla 20 damage.
Not if you have 3 Altarias on your bench, though.
That's true.
That's 80.
Gosh.
Or 60.
Is that the new joke deck? Just 4/4 Altaria?
I hope not.
Same.
Then we also have the White Kyurem GX. So this is a dragon, 190 HP, basic Pokemon. It does for 1 fire energy shred, 40 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects of your opponent's active Pokemon. For a fire, water, and colorless, it does Enraged Blade for 80 plus damage. If this Pokemon has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. And then for Dragon Nova GX, 2 fire, 1 water, 1 colorless. It does 200 damage. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned and paralyzed. Weak to Fairy, retreat cost of 3. That GX attack is unnecessary if you're already doing 200 damage. What's the point of burn and paralyze?
Pretty silly, actually.
Yeah.
It turns it into 240 damage if you have Waila out, right? That Waila volcano.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh, boy.
I don't know. Enraged Blade isn't bad if you can figure out a way to power this up for 3 energy with a rainbow energy or something.
Kiawe.
Right, but then you still need a damage counter.
Well, that was when you would put the rainbow energy down, right?
Yeah, rainbow, Kiawe, boom.
Then you're hitting for 190 with a choice band.
Yeah, or what's probably better is Zinnia. which is a supporter card that's going to be coming out in the next set that reads, you can only play this Pokemon. You can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your hand to one of your Dragon Pokemon. You may only play one supporter card during your turn before you attack.
And then below that is the Rainbow Energy that's getting reprinted. So there you go.
It's like all these cards go together.
Yep.
Something like that. So Zinnia's not super good. This full art's going to be awesome. And the Sky Tower, like as in the background art, is pretty sweet, but like this card's not very good.
No, it's not. What else we got? Anything else good?
The only other thing that I have is that we have Japan's Sun Moon 7 set that will release in Japan on June 1st called Charisma of the Rex Sky. We talked something about this, I believe, last week. I don't remember exactly what it was, but we're going to be getting Rayquaza GX.
Yes, we will.
Based on the... Where did I just read this? The Groudon, Kyogre, Latios distributions for the video game. We're assuming that this is going to be a Hoenn like related set. So Gen 3 stuff.
Gen 3, best gen, right?
True.
I like Gen 1.
Ludicolo GX, it's coming.
Ludicolo, can we? I would do a little Ludi dance for that.
Yeah, I'd be okay with Ludicolo GX coming out. Better than having all these there's so many good cards that haven't been given an ultra rare.
Ugh. Danny,
they're just left out.
Can we get one more Lycanroc GX, please? Just one more.
One more Silvally GX, or
That's all I have nothing else for news.
I was going to ask, do we have a Dusk form for Lycanroc yet in the GX? Like, aren't there 3 forms of Lycanroc now?
Not in the GX. We just have that one that's coming out in Forbidden Light.
Ah, there we go. There it is. That third Lycanroc's coming out in a GX form. They'll make it playable, hopefully.
That's not a GX though, right? That's just regular.
No, it's just a regular.
But
it'll come. There is the special Lugia distribution, which I guess we can just mention briefly. I think this is only in Japan.
Yeah, it looks like it's just Japan.
Yeah, so this will start April 13th and end on July 12th. The 21st Pokemon movie, Everyone's Story. Everyone will receive a level 100 Lugia via serial code distribution. But I believe that's specific to Japan. So, again, get your plane tickets to Japan.
Yeah.
So they go up.
One notable thing about this Lugia is that it has the hidden ability Multiscale, and also knows the moves Aeroblast, Hurricane, Defog, and Tailwind. Lugia normally can't learn Hurricane, so this is going to be an exclusive Pokemon. Important if you like collecting Lugia to get this one.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps up our news section for the week, so why don't we talk about something equally as exciting, if not more exciting. We had a weekend off after a few very rapid fire weekends of regionals and international tournaments, and now we're back at it again this weekend with Charlotte.
That's right.
Have you guys looked at attendance numbers for Charlotte at all?
No.
See where we're coming at? I think it was 5 something last time I looked, but that was several days ago. I think last time I saw they were over 500, so I think it's going to be a pretty popular tournament. I believe I looked on their Facebook page. I haven't looked for several days now, though, so I'll be anxious to see. I know that a lot of our team is going, which is pretty exciting. A lot of our Pro-Am guys are going to be there.
Nice.
I think there's just 2 people from the Pro team who aren't going, and then it's tough to keep up with everybody. But I know several members of the AM team are going also, so we'll see. What are you guys' initial thoughts? What are you hearing? What's the buzz? That was not a pun. That was
Well, for our listeners that have been checking out our newest podcast with Cameron Shinoy, the Deep Dive, you've gotten a few pro insights into what decks are kind of being thought about, tested, and are going to be played at Charlotte or at just standard format tournaments.
Do you think so? Zoroark Golisopod obviously had a mirror
Mhm.
match in the finals in its recent regional was it Mexico?
In Brazil?
In Brazil, yeah. So do you think that's the deck to beat right now? Is that the number one favorite going into the weekend? Because Charlotte is
Boy.
standard. I don't think we've said that yet.
Yeah, so Charlotte Standard, I can't imagine any... Well, okay, so that's the reigning champion down in Latin America, but we got to keep in mind the last major regional in America was... What, was that Golisopod Garb as well? And then... Or was that Golisopod Zoroark? Zoroark. Okay, and then second place was Fighting Guys with Natalie Champagne, right? So...
Right.
We cannot discount Buzz Garb as well, Buzzwall Garbodor.
I would imagine that Charlotte is not going to look very different than what Collinsville did. The only difference I maybe see is instead of something like Passimian getting that day 2 spot, or maybe even like Zoroark Garb, which was kind of a thing, we'll see something more along the line. Like this Rampardos deck is getting some hype, right? So I kind of want to see that do well.
Yeah, or I'm a big fan of the straight Solgaleo GX decks out there. I think they sound super fun.
I could go for Solgaleo doing well, just because we bought a lot of them a long time ago. So I'd like to see those jump in price a little bit for selfish purposes. But yeah, I do think that I've seen Buzzwole kind of slow down a little bit over the last few weeks now that the new season has started for Cups. It seems like for the most part, looking at analyzing Cup results and things like that, it seems more like in local regions, the first day of Cups, because there's usually back-to-back days that people go to. So like Chicago had 2 Cups, one on Saturday, one on Sunday last week. So on Saturday, a lot of people were playing Golisopod, Zoroark, and then the second day they were kind of playing just different decks. There was Volcanion, there was Greninja, there was Lycanroc, Zoroark, Buzzwole, things like that, where they were going the first day with the top deck, and then the second day with more of a, not necessarily a rogue deck, but a tier 2 option for them at least. So I do think that right now we have to look at Golisopod Zoroark as the deck to beat, assuming it is the deck to beat. I don't know if there's any real surprises that I can think of outside of maybe Weavile coming out of the woodwork a little bit more now that people have had some more time to test Ultra Prism. I don't know of anything really in Ultra Prism that's seriously impacting the meta for Standard. There has been some lists with Glaceon and Zoroark that have done fairly well at Cups, so maybe you'll see 1 or 2 of those sneak into day 2. But it seems like Golisopod and Buzzwole and Lycanroc continue to make up the best partners for Zoroark.
Well, that Barbarical that Alex Hill played in Costa Mesa is in Standard, right? That's a break.
Yeah, but I can't remember what Alex Hill said. There was a specific reason why it's bad in Standard and not bad in Expanded.
Okay, because I'm looking at the list and this would be fairly easily changed to Standard. Maybe someone will take that and do well. I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it is a very legal card in Standard still. I do remember somebody asking that specific question as to, I think he posted his list online, and somebody said, why is Barbarical not good in Standard but good in Expanded? And he wrote something about why it wouldn't be good in Standard. I just can't remember the exact reasoning behind it.
Because I'm looking at the list, and the only Pokemon that's in here that's would be an Expanded only is the Binacles that he used. Everything else is Standard, and then it's only Getsus, VS Seeker, and Computer Search. So that's 7 cards, and that's it. So I feel like it would be a fairly easy transition, but I don't know. I guess there'd probably be a good reason that it's not good, and I just don't see it.
I couldn't tell you. I have noticed that a lot of people have been upping their parallel city counts in lists that I've seen, normal lists that you see of normal Zoroark lists and counter Zoroark lists have been going from 2 parallel to 3 parallel to 4 parallel just to kind of limit the output damage that the opponent's Zoroark can put on them. That is something to keep in mind during your testing phases. What do you guys think of counter Zoroark in general as a deck? Do you think you'll see a lot of that just because of the sheer mass amounts of Zoroark that are going to be around?
I love it. I think it's a great deck.
I do too. I'm expecting people to start playing like even more than one Sudowoodo. Like it hits Zoroark so well.
Yeah, and that's really all you can think about when you're playing. Like that's really all that matters. Can you kill a Zoroark? Then you're gonna do well, hopefully.
So maybe we'll see something take it down. And there is going to be a stream. I don't know who's streaming it, but I know Connor Finton posted on Twitter earlier today and said that he was commentating for Charlotte. So there's going to be a stream this weekend, so at least we'll have something to watch and see how things unfold.
Yeah, that's exciting.
I don't really think that there's a whole lot. I mean, the tough thing about Standard is that it's just the format has been kind of, I guess I'll just say blah, because it's been so repetitive over the last several weeks, and you've had, the last couple sets that have come out haven't really changed a whole lot. It's just been another partner for Zoroark here or another partner for Zoroark there, and there hasn't been really any tech cards. And we're going to talk about our top 5 item cards in Standard. I don't think any of our top 5 item cards are going to be something that released in Ultra Prism. I guess I could be wrong, but there hasn't been a whole lot of meta-defining cards that have come out. So, yeah, it's been a little stale, in my opinion.
I'm ready for a shakeup. I hope someone always eventually comes in and makes things happen. I'm just excited for it to happen. I'm ready. There's been 4 Pokemon that have mattered in the meta for a good solid 6 weeks now. I'm ready to read a card out loud other than Zoroark GX, Golisopod GX, Lycanroc GX, and Buzzwole GX.
Agreed. Should we predict our winner?
Yeah, absolutely. I will hop in. I'm going to throw my hat in to the ring here, and man, all right. I'm going to say number 1, first place deck goes to Lycanroc Zoroark.
I can't say differently. I gotta go Lycanroc Zoroark too.
I'm going to go against the grain and just say something new because I want to be different this week, and I'm going to say Weavile.
Nice. Nice.
All right. Well, that, my friends, is Charlotte. There's another one the following week, right?
Portland.
That's it. Yep. Portland. Back-to-back weeks again. And then right around the corner, not too long after that, pretty soon, Madison's coming fast. We are less than 3 months away. It's crazy how much time just flies by. My goodness. Okay, well, why don't we move into... I got crickets on that one. Why don't we move into our weekly top 5?
Weekly top 5?
This is a nice, easy little weekly top 5 for all of us. I thought it'd be cool to just say our top 5 item cards in the standard format. We have a standard event coming up this weekend, as we just finished talking about. So, which 5 cards do you guys think are going to make the biggest impact? Or which 5 are your favorites? Or which 5 do you think have the coolest artwork? It really doesn't matter. It's just your top 5 items in standard.
No, it's got to be the top 5 most competitive, I thought.
Okay,
that's also
what it
I
is.
Did, but
I mean, that's what I did too. But
you listeners that want to chime in, you do it any of those ways that Darrin mentioned that you like.
Nope.
Oh,
all right. All right. Well, my top 5, my number 5 goes to Max Elixir.
I'll go ahead then. My number 5 goes to Max Elixir.
Ooh. My number 5 is not Max Elixir. It's actually Choice Band.
There you go. My number 4, Float Stone.
My number 4, Choice Band.
I think I forgot one of my top 5, but my number 4 for sure is also Floatstone.
Number 3 is Field Blower.
Ah, okay.
That's a good one. Wow. My number 3 is Puzzle of Time.
My number 3 is also Field Blower.
My number 2 is Puzzle of Time.
My number 2 is Floatstone.
My number 2 is also Puzzle of Time. I feel like Darrin and I just kind of copied each other, except for the 5th one.
Can we all say number 1 at the same time?
Can we all say number 1 together? Okay.
Number
3,
1
2,
is
1. Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball.
Yep.
We're so good at everything.
Someday Ultra Ball will not be in format, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah. I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't know if he'll still be alive during that day.
80 years later, and Ultra Ball is still in format.
Has there been a format without Ultra Ball?
Not since, like, let's see, it was first printed in what? Dark Explorers? So, not since, like, what, 2011?
That's a long time for one card.
I mean, to be fair, like, Switch has been in format for that long, too.
Yeah, but Switch isn't something... I mean, Switch isn't a 4 of in every deck.
True.
Like, for the past 5 years, you have had one card that's been basically a 3 or 4 of in every deck.
Yeah.
Granted, you've always had... It'll be interesting when Sycamore rotates come August, because that'll be the first time since probably around the same format that we haven't had a, discard your hand, draw 7 cards. Because Juniper was black and white base, right? And then
Yes.
before that, was there one before that? No, because everybody
No,
played
there was
Spirit.
Pond. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And which is that similar to Cynthia?
It's the same exact thing.
Okay. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, I mean, to be fair, we didn't have a discard draw 7 since base to fossil was, or like base to Neo was a format. We did go like 10 years without having discard draw 7. And we went like 11 without having, Ultra Ball. But to be fair, you could play 4 computer searches and 4 item finders in your deck. So
True.
That's true.
who knows? I don't know. Blah.
That's funny.
The reason this one wasn't this weekly top 5, it's crazy to me how you have this whole format and there's probably 6 different cards that are pretty much staples in every deck. And then after that, like it'd be tough to make a top 10, I feel like, of the best item cards in Standard, because really there's only 6 cards that you see regularly in a lot of sets or in a lot of decks. Like Max Elixir, Choice Band, Puzzle of Time, Ultra Ball, and Field Blower. Other than that, there's not a whole lot that gets played a lot. Like you'll get Evo Sodas here and there right now, and then you'll get Escape Ropes every once in a while. You'll get Multi-Switch every once in a while. But there's not a ton of cards, I feel like, from the break sets on, where you can kind of mix and match in a lot of specific decks, Like you don't see Fighting Fury
Right.
Belt that much anymore at all.
Right.
I think Choice Band is just too good to even think of like another offensive tool card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
I
not
agree.
only that, but you don't have big basic GXs like you did with EXs as much. So
Yeah.
Fighting Fury Belt has lost a lot of relevance. Like if you could throw a Fighting Fury Belt on any stage Pokemon, then it might be a different story. Then you might play one on the Zoroark GX to bring it up to 250.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to
Oh,
remember too.
man.
We did end up playing like 6 months of Pokemon, where there was maybe not quite 6 months, but how we played quite a while where there was no tool removal.
Right.
So
No,
like
there's-
that's another reason why Fighting Fury Belt was better, is because like it was also a defensive tool.
Mhm.
Where if there's not, like, defensive tools are super good if there's no tool removal.
Yeah, I just feel like the last year's format, there was a lot of, I wouldn't call them necessarily staples, but a lot of cards that you could pull out of your bulk and be like, oh, this trainer card could come in useful. This item card is something that I might need. Even in previous formats where you would hold on to like silver bangles and silver mirrors and
Mm-hmm.
obviously your muscle bands and your battle compressors and just a lot of different that was to go along with your staple VS Seekers and Ultra Balls and things like that. And you just don't have that as much anymore.
True.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found that interesting. But
Yeah. Nothing like pre-errata Pokemon catcher.
Yeah, exactly. Pokemon catcher. That was busted, though.
It's literally broke.
Ugh, my goodness. Okay, we're moving right along here, so we can move on past our weekly top 5 and into more of our main topic for the week, and that is the DannyBox of the week.
Of the week.
Yeah, which we haven't had for a few weeks now, so we're bringing it back this week, mostly because there's a little bit of a lull again in between set releases. So I want to talk to you guys this week about motivation, but not so much in the broad way of the term by itself, but more in the sense of the impact it can have via one's self. In other words, I want to start out by having like a little discussion, interaction amongst the three of us, and then, just kind of I'll go into my little spiel a little bit more in depth. Anyone, obviously I'm total victim of motivational speaking and inspirational quotes, and I try and post stuff to inspire people and motivate people, and anyone can preach inspirational stories and speak motivational quotes, but in the end, the only person who can take credit for motivating is one's self. Only I can defeat me, and only I can improve myself. So motivation can only be found when a purpose is discovered. So with that being said, I kind of want to go around. We've talked about goals. We've talked about motivation before, and what motivates us from an outside perspective. But I want to talk about what we do as an individual to motivate ourselves to accomplish tasks. So basically, while this segment is about motivation in specific, it is about self-motivation and how you get out of bed in the morning and you decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do today. Or somebody says to you, hey, let's do this. And you say, okay, no, I'm going to have to get this done first, and then I can go do whatever. So how do you motivate yourself? Or even if you're just having a lazy day, because everybody has lazy days. Like, let's say for me, it's like the Bucks game is on, or the Packers game is on, or the Brewers game is on, and I just want to watch that instead of doing work. What motivates you from yourself? Because you're a business owner, so the only person who can motivate yourself is yourself. What motivates you from a self perspective to accomplish a task and get it done? So I want to go around and just kind of talk about that. How do you self-motivate yourself to get something done?
So I think it's important to make not everyone can be motivated in the same way. Now there are obviously like tactics and different things to motivate someone, whether it be yourself or the people around you, to where like it works more times than not. But I think like for me, I get motivated when like this isn't necessarily like a self-motivating tactic, but I get really motivated when the people around me are doing the things that I want to be doing, whether the people around me are doing the same things as me and we're working together, or the people around me are not working with me, they're doing like things separately from me, like, oh, our friend Aaron uploaded 7 YouTube videos this week. That's great. Okay, I want to upload 7 videos this week because I just watched him do it. I think motivation can be looked at as like, I think competition can be used as good motivation. But like for me, it's just seeing the people around me do certain things makes me want to do those certain things more, and definitely motivates me. So I definitely spend a lot of time, talking to my friends who are A, content creators, or B, business owners, or C, just Pokemon players or whatever they end up being, to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, just what's going on in their world. That's just something that really, helps me. If I ask them like, oh, what's the plan? And they're like, oh, we're going to upload, we're going to be live on Twitch for the next 39 hours in a row. Well, okay, I guess I can do 8, like, that's more than I normally do. And just seeing the people around me do the things that I want to do definitely motivates me to do the things that I want to get done.
I can jump in here. So motivation for me is actually kind of a constant struggle. I work a lot in my other jobs, and I've got a lot of things going on. Not saying that you guys don't, because I know you both have a lot going on. But it's every day is I make a conscious effort to queue up what I need to do for Dead Draw Gaming and make sure I get it done before I go to bed. And sometimes my motivation comes from making sure that I get something done that I promised I would get done. Sometimes my motivation comes from I want to be there for the people that are counting on me. And sometimes my motivation comes from I want to prove to someone that I can do something they don't think I can. Sometimes my motivation is I want to make the people around me happy and proud. And sometimes I want to make myself proud and happy. And so my motivation, it comes in cycles and circles around, and I'm always constantly searching for something more to keep me going. And I always find it, and I think I always will, because I always look for it, I think once I stop looking for motivation, that's when there's a problem. But yeah, that's me.
I think one thing that you said is pretty important is like you queue up a list of things that you need to get done for the day, right? There's something extremely satisfying about making a list and crossing things off of it. Especially when you have that one last thing to do and then you cross off that last thing. That's like that feeling for a lot of people is really important. There's a movie that came out, I think it was like around 2010 that had Ryan Reynolds in it, that had Detective Pikachu in it. It's called Chaos Theory.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and like that kind of just is making me think of that, because like that was his thing, is like if you put everything into a list, you'll get all those things done. And like after watching that movie, I probably did that for like solid. I was like, okay, we're making lists. That's what we're doing forever now. And I didn't stick with it, but I definitely achieved a lot more. Like after that movie came out, and like just writing things down that I needed to do was like a list was a really good, motivational tool. Write something down, cross it off.
Yeah, I think that's a human nature thing for a lot of people is, the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of self-worth, being able to write something down and then immediately check it off. That's something that a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists and philosophy people have studied for a long time. And that really boils down to just human nature and the feeling of accomplishment as far as, mankind goes. So I am going to say a little bit of a story and then go on my spiel a little bit further. But there's this boy who was really big into soccer. He was fascinated with soccer. He always practiced. He wanted to be the best. He was never selected to go on to his final team. He was always kind of on like the JV team. And he never, ever got to the final team, the varsity team, despite all of his practice, all of his hope, all of his hard work. Whenever he went to practice, he was accompanied by his father, who used to sit in the same seat every practice and sat there, watched, and just waited until practice finished. Then he would take him home. The final year came for this boy, and the final selections of the varsity team was coming up. And he continued to practice, showed up every single time, worked harder than everybody else, did whatever he could. When there was 4 days left until the varsity selections and the final match, the boy just stopped coming to practice. And the coach didn't know what happened. He didn't hear from the boy. He didn't talk to the boy. No idea what was going on. So finally the final day comes and the final match comes. It happens in the afternoon, and the boy comes up, shows up out of nowhere, appears back, and asks the coach if he had a place for him in the match. And the coach said to him, "Son, I've had better players than you. I have better players than you. You haven't been here for the last 4 practices. I don't know how you can expect me to take you seriously and put you in. I can't just go against, my best judgment and just put you in." The boy begged and pleaded and got down on his knees, said anything and everything, just begging for a place. And the coach took sympathy on him, said, "Son, okay, I'll give you a chance. I'll put you in for the first half, and you have to prove to me your abilities, and don't forget that the school reputation is at risk. This is the first time I'm ever going against my better judgment. I'm putting you in. I'm going to give you a chance." So the boy thanked him, got into the match. The match started, and the boy played like just this house on fire. And every ball that came to him, he converted well, scored a ton of goals. And needless to say, he went on. His team won the match, and for the first time in their history, or in his history, the boy was awarded the player of the tournament. After it was over, the coach came up to him and said, "Son, where have I went wrong all these days? How am I wrong in my judgment about you? How did you play so well? What motivated you?" And the boy replied, "My father is watching me." And the coach looked around, and he was a little bit surprised and said, "Where is he watching you from? Whenever you made a goal, I looked for your father, and I haven't seen him anywhere today." And he said, "Well, my father was blind by birth, and he was just here to motivate me. He came every day, sat in the same spot, and he was here just to motivate me, but he could never see me because he was blind. 4 days ago, he passed away, and for the first time, he's watching me from there." And he pointed his finger to the sky with tears in his eyes and said, "That's what motivated me and made me play so well." So the moral of that story is it really doesn't matter, I guess, what motivates you. Wherever you can find your self-motivation from, there's got to be something that, brings you to light, like makes you work hard every day, whether it be a list or whether it be to prove somebody wrong. Whatever the case may be, there has to be something, and it's got to be this driving force that moves you forward. The strongest factor for your success is going to be your self-esteem, believing that you can do it, believing you deserve it, and believing that you will get it. Whatever the case may be, whatever business you're in or whatever goals you're trying to achieve, the time has come to stop telling people about your dreams and your goals and start showing them your dream and your goals. It's time to start proving them. It's time to stop wishing and start doing. No matter what you do, no matter how long you're at it, people are going to hate you, people are going to rate you, people are going to shake you, and people are going to break you. How strong you stand is what makes you you. We are repeatedly what we do. Success is not an action, it's a habit. So starting tomorrow, you need to figure out how you can motivate yourself and do it every day. When you feel like quitting and feel like you can't do it anymore, you need to start thinking about why you started it. Life flies by so fast all the time, but the most important thing that you can remember is that you're the pilot of your life. You make the deciding factors. You decide what you're going to do every day. If you decide not to motivate yourself, if you decide not to make that list, not to check something off, not to prove somebody wrong, you're the one who's making the decision to set your goals back. You're the one who's deciding to not motivate yourself. You're the one who's saying, "My dreams can wait a day." And I talked about this a few weeks ago with my last DannyBox, is that you will never find success until your goals are bigger than your excuses. And all the time, businesses fail and people fail because their excuses are just too big. And I joke all the time with other people, whether it be in this business or in the card game, who come up to me and say, "Oh, this isn't working for me because of this," or "I'm not successful at this card game because of this." And all I say to them is, "Hey, do you have any excuses that I can borrow?" Because that's all it is to me. It's just noise. Like, the reason that you're not successful at something is because of the decisions that you made not to be successful. So I understand that it sucks, and I understand that work isn't always fun and that it can be very hard. But if you're truly passionate about something, you need to figure out a way to motivate yourself every day, develop that habit, and start doing it every day. Once you start doing it every day, you will not want to sleep because you will want to achieve your goals. It's no different than going to the gym regularly. Like, why do you think gyms are so successful in January? Everybody has these, like, that's why they have all these sales in January. Sign up for the gym, $1 down, and then $30 a month after that. Like, it's this great deal. Everybody signs up. You go to the gym January 1st. If you continue, by February 1st, there's nobody at the gym anymore. January 1st, it was jam-packed. February 1st, there's nobody there anymore. Everybody gave up. Because it's so easy to make that resolution. It's so easy to make that goal. But if you don't just establish this habit, it's never going to get you anywhere. And you're always just going to be wondering what happened. I don't want to be the guy that wakes up 10 years down the road and being like, wow, that business flew by fast and just went right past me. I want to be the guy 10 years down the road who's setting the trends. That's my DannyBox for the week.
Ooh, baby. Man, that's
A lot of good stuff.
wowzers.
So with that, I get really hyped, I guess, when it comes to stuff. And I get really angry at people. I mean, I get really angry at myself, and you guys have seen it before because we may be, happy-go-lucky in the podcast, but we're people. We're business owners, and we have a business relationship as well as a friendship. And there's times where we argue and we move past it, and we get frustrated, and that's part of life. But I get really passionate about wasted talent, and I think part of it is because of just things that I've gone through in the past. Like I've seen, negativity, and I've seen. There was a time where I didn't know if I was going to wake up, a week down the road. And that just completely changed my life around. And now every day I'm like, I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring or if there's going to be a tomorrow. And I know that sounds super preachy, but you don't know what it's like until you go through it. And I am telling you firsthand, don't waste your life. It is way too short. So with that, we can move on to our. We have a question of the week, right?
We had a question of the week 2 weeks ago, and we did get some responses. But wait. I gotta be fair to our listeners. I haven't heard anyone tell me to stop doing it yet, so I better sing our question of the week intro here.
Do it.
Question of the week. Yeah. We did it. We did it, guys.
If it makes you feel better, Darren, every time you do that, I picture Aziz Ansari doing it.
That's good. He's a famous person, so.
So are you.
We're on our way, boy. I like it. Question of the week. 2 weeks ago, we asked about your favorite Pokemon memory, and it took a little bit of poking and prodding, but we got some fantastic responses. These are good responses. Let's actually start with an email. This email comes from a man named Greg. He said, I just wanted to say thank you for the podcast. I listen to them at work and look forward to each episode. He says, I just turned 30 and started getting my kids into the Pokemon TCG as I grew up with it as it first came out. I wanted to share with them my memorable Pokemon experience in response to, your earlier episodes. My favorite moment was when my grandmother took me to the card store back when I was 10, and I believe it was only base set and maybe jungle that was out. I had my money with, and I saw in the display case a base set Charizard, which was the holy grail of cards back in the day. I do not remember if it was first edition or not, but the store wanted $30 for the card, and I just really wanted to buy it, but my grandmother talked me out of it. So instead, I just bought a couple of booster packs. On the drive home, I opened my 2 booster packs, and in the second one, I found a base set Charizard. I don't think it was first edition, but man, was I excited, and I was freaking out. I will always remember that day. More recently, I got to kind of relive that experience through my nephew, who was opening a Burning Shadows booster pack. He pulled a Rainbow Rare Charizard GX. He showed it to me, and I started looking up the values to see if it was worth something and realized that this was kind of like a modern-day Holy Grail. I easily convinced his mom and him to send it off to PSA, and it came back as a PSA 9. How about that? Great experience, and he is getting more into playing the TCG game and learning new strategies. Greg, thank you so much for that response. That's exactly what we wanted. Memories like that, it's just really heartwarming stuff. Let's move over to our Discord. All right, in our Discord, I asked all of our Dan fans and Team DDG members what their favorite Pokemon memory is. And our first response came from DDG Cam. And it's like the best clip ever.
That's my favorite thing. I still think that Twitch clip is like at least my favorite Twitch clip ever, if not just my favorite clip in general.
Like at the very end of it, when Kyle's starting to get a little mad, like, Nam, hey Nam, this is for you, Dan. Oh, it's so good. You'll have to watch this clip. If you, I don't know what we could do. We could share it at somewhere, but it's so funny. It's Cam on stream at Nationals, and he wins.
His toughest matchup, by the way.
Yeah, he's playing Mega Rayquaza, and he beats Night March on stream, and he picks up his Dead Draw Gaming mat and flashes it to the camera. Pretty confident that this is the number one reason why people can't wear like logo shirts on stream anymore or anything like that. Pretty good stuff. Moving on, we've got Jet Black. He says, this year's Collinsville Regional, where I met Notorious DDG, that's Dan, and got to hang out with him and the rest of Team DDG at Applebee's. Great times. Also, my friend Aaron Trainer was in town, so everyone just got to have a great time together. Colin said, probably going to Dallas Regionals and seeing some of my friends from Discord and my local card shop. Fabes says, I have so many, but let's say 2016 Worlds, where I played VGC. I went from Australia with a group of 15 or so, and now we're better mates because of it, with heaps of stories to tell. Able to meet and play great people from around the world. Played my first TCG event with the pre-release side events, and even beat a good player with greedy dice. And then fell in love with the TCG after that. And then got heaps of amazing merch, which usually I can't find. That's awesome, Fabes. The Colonel says, my favorite Pokemon memory is when I was 10 and saw the first Pokemon movie, only to then get the hieroglyphic Mew afterwards. Totally stoked. Colonel, I totally remember that as well. I still have my sealed hieroglyphic Mew.
That's the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
First one ever?
Yeah.
That's awesome. See, that's so cool. That's awesome. Vagrant Red. His favorite Pokemon memory is when I got the original Game Boy and Pokemon Red for Christmas. I didn't even know what it was. I popped it in, turned it on, and I was hooked. Even trying to play using the streetlights as they passed to play while my parents drove us home. 100% agree. I will never forget that Christmas where I opened my red version, and then suddenly I had another gift, and it was my blue version. I will never, ever forget that day. Hopsippopotamus. His favorite Pokemon memory is fighting memory, because I can attach it to Zavali and one-hit KO Zoroark GX. That is a great Pokemon memory. Thank you, Hops.
Troll.
Astronat said, my favorite Pokemon memory was my 10th birthday when I had a Pokemon-themed sleepover and organized a video game event with my friends while we listened to the good old Pokemon To Be a Master soundtrack. For what it's worth, he won the tournament. And he won in life, because To Be a Master is so good. And our final response to this question. I wanted to just read all the responses we got because they're so good. These memories are awesome. But the final one comes from Alfred. He said, my favorite memory is sitting at my friend's place on countless afternoons and weekends, taking turns on Pokemon Stadium 2 while the rest of us played Gold, Silver, Crystal on our Game Boys. Nothing specifically stands out, but just the overall feel has never been repeated. Man, the nostalgia here, I love this. This is, can we just ask this question every so often? This feeling is great.
I would actually like to answer this question.
Do it. Floor's yours,
So,
Dan.
You guys have heard me tell the story multiple times now of how Danny and I met, so I'm not going to give you guys that one again. This time I'm going to go back to what kind of got me into competitive play to begin with. So I remember one day, this was in 2012, I guess. And I'm sitting at my apartment, and my buddy Derek texts me, and he says, "Hey, I'm heading home from the game store. You should come over and hang out." And at this point, I didn't even know there was a game store in Grand Forks. I hadn't become the full nerd that I am today. And I mean, I had always been that, but like not to the point that I am now. And so I meet him there, and he's like, "Dude, check out this binder that I got." And he hands it to me, and it's like maybe missing 20 cards, but he's like, "Yeah, I went to the store and I found one card of each of the, like one Pokemon card of all the original 151 Pokemon." And I'm like, "Dude, this is awesome." And at this point, I was not like super into the TCG yet. So I still at home had a box of Pokemon cards, like literally in a shoebox, no sleeves, nothing, just cards inside of a shoebox. And so we start going through them, and we ended up eventually filling his binder with the cards that I had, you know, with at least one card of the original 151. And we're like, okay, so collecting these are cool. Why aren't we playing? And me, again, not really knowing, you know, the game or anything, or like what card values or what, that kind of stuff. I had a bunch of old Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I ended up trading for a bunch of new Pokemon cards. And I ended up getting enough for like a booster box plus a little bit more. And then we ended up opening the boxes, we started playing games, and this is eventually how like we started going to the shop, and this is eventually how I ended up meeting Tanner Menzel. And meeting Tanner is what really got me into the competitive scene. And because I met Tanner and got into the competitive scene, I started traveling for Pokemon, which ended up bringing me to Fargo, North Dakota to play Pokemon, which is
sounds familiar,
where I met Darrin.
Yeah.
So meeting Darrin at Paradox one day, which is where I also met our good friend David. Really, those guys are... and then getting my friend, you know, some of my other friends, you know, former Team DDG, Cody Graham, you know, got him into competitive. He ended up being way better than me, but it's how we met Cam and Kyle and a lot of the Team DDG guys. Basically, like, all started because one day Derek at his apartment asked me to come over to his place and just had a binder full of Pokemon cards. So... not as good. I didn't want to tell you guys about the story about how Danny and I met because you've heard it 100 times. But
I liked the Dan origin story. That's good.
Yeah, there it is.
The Dorigin, the Dan origin, the Norigin story. I don't know. Didn't work. It has different vowels at the start of the word.
Yes.
Still, good story, fun times. But for the sake of brevity, how about we ask a new question this week?
Let's do it.
All right, so this is a great question. Someone thought it up. His name is Danny, but I'm gonna read it. He wants to know. We want to know. Not just him, but I want to know as well. And I'm sure Dan would like to. Mm-hmm. Do you hope that Pokemon rotates expanded? And if so, what set would you like to rotate to, and why? I think this is a really good question. Last year, there was some talk about expanded, what it would be like if it rotated, and it didn't. Is it time? That's what we want to know. You answer that question, and you tell us what set you'd like it to rotate to. You let us know on Facebook, on Twitter, in our Discord channel, on Patreon, or you can send us an email like some people have, and I won't forget them now because I checked them because we've started getting some. So. And we will probably read your response on next week's podcast.
Ooh.
There we go. Question of the week over. What do we got next?
Awesome. Well, let's move into our buy sell trade of the week. We did buy a little bit of stuff and we sold a lot of bit of stuff. We have Madison, the payment for Madison coming up, so we unloaded a lot of loose packs and some singles, but also bought stuff just because the deals were too good to pass up. So I did get a lot that's coming in probably within the next couple days here that's got a full art Cynthia in it. The full art Cynthia I paid $58 for, and that's selling right now for about $80. And then it's
Not
also
bad.
got Computer Search, which I paid I think like 18 for, and then there's a bunch of other like just random ultra rares and things like that. The one I'm most excited about is actually just a Guardians Rising case that I bought on eBay because they had a code going on where you got 20% off your order. So I used that to purchase a Guardians Rising case, which was selling at the time for $4.99. And instead of paying $4.99, I used the 20% off code, which brought it down to $3.99. So that's like $66 per box, which is quite a bit less than what you can buy it from distributors. So I figured I would just buy a case of it, and I chose Guardians Rising because it's easily it's the easiest to sell set. So I'll probably get that in tomorrow, and then I'll probably just turn around and sell the case for $500 or something like that, just to get that $100 profit right away. And I think that was pretty much it as far as buys go, because those were expensive purchases.
Good purchases, though.
Yes. Yeah, that 20% off was really cool. I like when eBay does stuff like that. It makes things fun for me, for us.
That is very cool.
Yeah. So with that, I think we can move into our open discussion, which I actually do have stuff for this week.
Whoa!
Which is different than normal. First of all, I do want to talk about something that Dan had already talked about. He shot a YouTube video about it earlier this week, just talking about the Madison stream. We're doing something a little different. We are looking for content creators who have an interest in possibly purchasing ad space on the stream to help us pay for the stream costs. And what we will give you in return is a 30-second commercial in between rounds. So if you are interested in something like that, we want you guys to make sure you market yourself in a unique environment, something that's going to stand out. And we are being pretty selective in our submissions. We want to make sure that the content that we are providing is unique and it's not all the same. We're limiting it to 15 content creators, and we don't want them all to be like pack openings. And they don't all have to even be Pokemon related. It could be somebody who maybe streams on Twitch and they play Fortnite and they want to advertise to a different audience. Or they could play PUBG or something like that. So we want to make sure that we are reaching out to, the demographics that Pokemon kind of brings in. The stream is typically viewed from a more professional standpoint, but we're going to do our best to make sure that we replicate the professionalism that Pokemon typically provides. It's going to be good stuff. So if you're interested, message us. We have a few spots remaining, but it is limited. So make sure to hit us up with a message either on Facebook or Twitter or Patreon or our Discord channel, or email us or something of the sorts. Other than that, I did actually take some time today to go to a local card shop that I didn't even know existed until recently. So I went to, there's a small, or I guess it's not necessarily a small town, but there's a city in Wisconsin called Waukesha, called Game Town. So I went in there to kind of talk to the owner just about some advertising opportunities with the Madison stream and talk about his store. He specializes a lot in Magic the Gathering, but has been getting into Pokemon more and more and more recently. So it was really nice to meet him. His name is David. And if you are ever in the Waukesha area, definitely go check out Game Town. They have League every Wednesday night, and he got approved for his first pre-release for Forbidden Light, which is pretty cool.
Wow, that is awesome.
So it's nice. I haven't gone into a card store, like a physical brick and mortar card store, since the last time I went to a League Cup and Darrin was the judge, which was what, August?
Oh man, yeah, it was a long time ago.
I walked in and I felt like I was home, even though I was nowhere near my home. But that's it. That's all I've got for open discussion. So somebody else can take the reins.
I actually don't have too terribly much this week.
I've got something.
Then please go ahead.
All right. Well, a couple weeks ago, we got an email from a police officer. Did you guys read this email?
I did see this, yes.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
His name is Commander Blake Garcia, and he is he is part of the Berkeley Police Department in Berkeley, Illinois. He is doing something amazing here. What they are doing is making a Pokemon League and crossing it with police officers. I think this is just amazing. So it's a way to get the community engaged with the police department, the local library, and the school district, and they're doing it all with Pokemon in mind. So he's got a background check, in the works. He's working on getting his Pokemon professorship. He reached out to us at Dead Drug Gaming because of my Professor 101 articles as well as our podcast. And so he's looking for help getting his league off the ground. Because honestly, getting a league started is a lot of work, and it's something you have to do on your own time. Like, Pokemon doesn't pay you to get a league started for them. So Commander Blake Garcia here is wondering if any of our listeners in the Illinois area, or really anywhere, can help him out. So he's looking for tips and tricks to get his events going, get the word out to kids in the area, but he's also looking for supplies. So if you have spare Pokemon cards laying around, spare theme decks, any sort of card supplies like dice, sleeves, anything really, contact us and we will get you into talks with Commander Garcia and get this police Pokemon League up off the ground.
That's probably one of the coolest things that I've heard in a really long time.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing that he came to us and asked us for help. So, listeners, Dead Drawers, the Dead Draw family, this is your chance to give back to the community, give back to your local law enforcement, and help grow Pokemon in this very, very inviting environment. Huge props to Commander Garcia, and I hope we can find him some help.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you.
There we go. That's all I've got for open discussion this week.
Well then, why don't you take us home?
All right. So, you guys, if you enjoyed episode number 75 of Dead Draw Gaming, a Pokemon TCG podcast like no one ever was, make sure to hit that like button down below and share this podcast with all of your friends. Don't forget to check us out next week for episode number 76, where we will give you the recap on what happens in Charlotte this weekend. But that is all we have for you guys this week. So, for Darrin, for Danny, and for myself, Dan, we will see you next time.